What is an adult life equivalent of calling your teacher mom? This happened to a co-worker years and years ago. We were tellers at a local bank. Every Christmas we had tiny candy canes to give to the kids of customers. One guy came through with his. With his transactions he had cash back. Teller 1 was helping him. She proceeds to give him his cash in a 100 bill and a candy cane for his kid. He looks at her and says, "Can I have that broken up?" She then proceeds to bash the candy cane to a pulp with my stapler and gives it back to him. Teller 2 just looked at her after the dude said thanks and drove off. And said, "I think he meant the 100 bill. I will remember this story forever." Edit. Thanks for the gold. This is my very favorite story from working there. We had a good group. I still love those people. I've worked in restaurants since I was 16. When I bring someone to a table I say enjoy. After any drink or plate of food I put down at a table I do the same. Well, I guess it was just inevitable that when a man asked me where the washroom was and I directed him that I told him to enjoy. I work in a prison where I have occasionally have a inmate say alright officer Imokid have a good night drive home safe hit him with the thanks you too. Multiple life sentences. My first silver. I once saw a flustered young lawyer address a judge as "Oh Lord." He was a big church person and had kind of fallen into a prayer cadence as he nervously argued. Everyone pretended it had not happened. I once went to court to dispute a traffic ticket. When prepping my case, I went over my statement with my wife. Luckily I did. Because I had "Your Majesty" written down instead of "Your Honor" at the very beginning. When talking with family we always end our calls with "I love you." So I'm on a call with my longtime assistant and as the call ends without thinking I say "hello" and stop horrified as I couldn't think of how to finish it. Thank God she had a sense of humor. She said, "AWW. Come on now. You can say it. Go ahead. Tell me you love me." So I did and we laughed about for years. Well, I've accidentally rubbed the back of some random chick at Walmart thinking she was my wife before. Calling your wife mom is pretty bad. I did that once almost 20 years ago and the cringe hasn't lessened over time. Edit. We never had kids. So it's not like anyone else was calling her mom. So, yeah. Super awkward. Yay. I had a co-worker who would jokingly call our chief Big Daddy behind his back. We were all working a little late one night and she let "Hey Big Daddy" slip as he walked in. To her credit she owned it and now calls him that in regular conversation. Still weird though. I once called an older female co-worker mom because she kinda looks and gives off a vibe like my mom. I am a 50-year-old woman and when the IT guy fixes my computer I have to not pat him on the head. I'm one of those never save numbers in my phone kinda guys. When I was in the army, I was stationed somewhere with a different area code than mine and got to talking to a local girl. Things were getting heated one night over text. So we were sending raunchy things back and forth. I wasn't paying attention for a moment and sent a message to the wrong person by mistake. My sergeant replied, "Alright. I'm not really into all that. But make sure you show up to formation in the morning." At Dollar Tree the other day my boyfriend walked up to the cashier and she said almost immediately, "How was your meal?" And then oh. Wrong job. Not me. But my mom. She was in a meeting and not paying attention for whatever reason. Then someone asked her a question and she responded with "What's that, honey?" Full stop. Made me crack up for so long. My old boss and my husband's names were one letter apart. I worked in a daycare. So the owner and all the staff often texted one another to update each other on kids. Any issues parents had. And general questions. My husband was working third. And I was working first. We didn't get to see each other much. And most of our conversation was done via text. On my very first week, I was in a rush after getting into work. And texted my husband the same thing I always texted him when I got into work. "Hey babe. I'm here. I hope your night was as awesome as you are less than 3. I love you so much. Your dinner is in the crock pot. When I went on break, I checked my phone. Nothing back from my husband. But my boss had texted me. It read love you too. Mwah. I was so confused until I looked back at the messages and realized I had sent her the text meant for my husband. Changed her contact name to boss after that one. Thank God she had a good sense of humor about it. My friend was on a toilet. Someone knocked and she said, comma, come in. Apostrophe. Edit. Thanks for silver kind stranger. I have accidentally said love you when hanging up on a work call. Mixing up text messages between your wife and boss. I have done this far too many times. On my way. Need anything from the store, babe? Boss replies with, just those reports I requested, sweetie. But I'm fine getting them tomorrow morning. I'm a teacher. I unthinkingly scolded my dog the other day with, follow the directions. We kinda just stared at each other for a second while I realized how ridiculous I sounded. These days I rarely talk on the phone to anyone who isn't family, so love you. Bye is a standard phone call ending. We had some issues at our house last year and I'm pretty sure I told 2 contractors and the insurance adjuster I love them. Edit. Thanks to all who posted to let me know I'm not the only one. I love you all. When I was 8 or 9 I was trying to call my dad at work and the receptionist said he was busy. So I said to tell him to call me back and ended the call by saying I love you and then apologizing. When my dad called me back he was like, never apologize for saying I love you to anyone. Ever. I've said I love you while on autopilot since then but have never said sorry for it. It really stuck with me. I've had 1 or 2 people say I love you without thinking about it and have never hesitated to say I love you too. Never gotten love you too back from it though. Anyway. I love you. Bye. I'm a dental hygienist. My patient was a man who had just turned 91 the day before. Instead of saying happy late birthday, like a normal human being, I accidentally, and very loudly, said happy last birthday. The look on his face. Y'all. This was also my second day at my new job. Edit. To answer everyone's question on if he's still alive. I have no idea. This happened about 2 months ago. So I won't be scheduled to see him until sometime in July. Fingers crossed he comes back or I'm going to feel even worse. Also thank you for the gold and silver. But please put that towards a charity of your choosing instead. My idiocy doesn't need rewarding. I referred to the pediatrician as the veterinarian for the first year or 2 of our kid's life. Even did it in the office and over the phone with staff. Yes. We had pets long before we had kids. Thankfully. They claimed to find it charming. And reported I wasn't the first to make the mistake. My husband has mixed up my and his sister's name more than once. Also. Calling your kids the pet's name. Walking up to the wrong car and freaking out when you can't unlock it. Going on autopilot and coming terrifyingly close to giving my short female employees nudges like I do my daughters. I was given a lift home by a colleague from work once. And when he stopped to let me out of the car I leaned in for a kiss as it was what I would do to my wife. Thankfully he was looking the other way at the time. Once I was in the airport and I went to get a sandwich. I stood at the counter to tell the worker to give me a turkey sandwich. Which he prepared. He handed it to me and his co-worker noticed he didn't microwave it. So he extended his hand to me over those glass container thingies. Which have food displayed in them. So he can take it to microwave it. I didn't understand why he was extending his hand so I smiled and shook it. He laughed and pointed at my food and told me he has to heat it. I felt dumb as hell. I once went to the wrong floor of my apartment building. And tried to open the wrong apartment. On the way back from a client meeting with one of the partners. He wasn't paying attention when the light turned green and I said, hey. Babe. You gotta go. And then I died. If you are a teacher, calling your students by their older brother sister's name that you had before in your class. Edit. Thanks for the silver. I called my housekeeper Daddy instead of Darcy. It was an autocorrect mistake in a text, but I didn't notice for 24 hours when I realized she never texted me back. I was absolutely mortified, but she thought it was hilarious. And she texted me 2 weeks later. Her opening line was, "Who's your daddy?" Nah, I actually lost my mind in a meeting reading that. She's the sweetest older lady, and now my nickname for her is Daddy. Signing an email, best S. Ending a phone call with a client or colleague with "love you." Answering your personal phone with your work phone greeting. When a customer is leaving the restaurant and he says to me, "Have a good night. Love you." And I, "God help me," say, "Love you too. Take care." Then we spend a silent moment just looking at each other and both turn away at the same time, never to discuss it again. My boss is old enough to be my dad, although his kids are younger than me. Sometimes he reminds me of my dad, and I have almost told him, "Oh okay Chip," my dad's name, in a sarcastic "I don't agree with you" tone. Once when we were having a "we don't agree about something" conversation that had to do with our other leader, he slipped and called me his daughter's name while giving me advice. He wasn't telling me I had to do what he was saying, but was sharing why he thought I should. It really made me feel that he was genuinely giving me the best advice he could. I still didn't agree, but I did take his advice. I know this is exactly an answer to the question, but life has been a little hard lately, and typing out a nice moment made me feel a bit better, so I am going to leave it. Easy. Calling your boss daddy. He might get the wrong idea about what you're willing to do in order to get promoted. Does putting veggies in the washing machine instead of the fridge count? Edit. Hey everyone, thanks for the likes. I am so happy RN. And also thanks to the kind internet stranger for giving me my first gold. Why is your underwear in the fridge? The washing machine was filled with lettuce. Calling your girlfriend by your ex's name. This sounds much worse for some reason. Tossing the plate of pizza rolls onto the couch rather than your phone. Why are you tossing pizza rolls onto your phone anyway? I have a friend who used to work as a nursery school teacher and then went to a job in an office. The transition was not easy. Apparently she started her first presentation by saying, "Alright everyone. Quiet down. Fingers on lips. Apostrophe." The reason she tells the story is that about half the people in the room, including her immediate boss, did it instinctively. Every day when I leave work I text my SO and let him know whether I'm going straight home or whatever. The last person I had texted was my boss. I sent her the text, "Baby. Free from work. I'm headed to the store to get groceries. I love you so much." Imagine my surprise when my boss, who I'm luckily close with, texts me back, "Lol good girl." I was so confused. Opened the text convo. Realized what I had sent her. Sank into a puddle in the middle of a grocery store in embarrassment. We all had a good laugh about it the next day. One of my soldiers called me dad in boot camp. It was pretty hard not to laugh. Edit. Thank you stranger for my first ever silver. Edit. Damn, this blew up. Thanks for the gold. Never expected this to catch so much attention. Ugh. This reminds me of being in boot and, as a lady, coming across a male drill instructor and saying, "Yes, mom," out of instinct. When I got my nachos at the cinema, the guy at the counter said, "Enjoy your film," and I said, "Waiter, enjoy your meal. Me. You too. Rental guy. Drive safe. Me. You too. Doctor. Feel better. Me. You too. Cop. Keep it under 55 next time. Me. You too." I was out working with my dad once, and his client called and asked for rates. I told him, and when he said okay, thank you, I said love you, and hung up. It was strange. We had to clean his carpet the next day, lol. He was about 6 feet 2, 300 pounds of pure black badassery. When we were leaving, he stopped me and asked if I talked to him the day prior, and I said yeah. He said real gently, "I love you too," and just lost it. I called my first boss mom. She was not even kind. She was an absolute tyrant and hated by everyone, except me for some reason. On top of that, she started liking me after that. To be fair, it was an internship and I was 18 years old. Getting my children's names mixed up or calling them by the pets' names. Thank you to everyone who upvoted me and commented your stories. Sorry I haven't replied to you all, but I've upvoted all of you. When someone says happy birthday and you say thanks you too by accident. Calling your wife mom and her calling you dad. It happens to real parents if they're really kid focused and then they start liking it and doing it on purpose. Calling your current dog by your dead dog's name. I got my hair cut one time and I was paying at the register. And the lady ringing me up behind the counter gave me my card back and then said to me, "I hope you enjoy your haircut." Semicolon. Without thinking I just looked her straight in the eyes and said, "Why you too?" Getting into the wrong car and looking over to realize you're sitting with a complete stranger who is extremely confused. Or fixing your tits in a window reflection and realizing someone's inside. My mom bought a new car when I was in high school. When she came to pick me up from work one night, I got into the wrong car. I was buckling myself in when I looked up and saw a female police officer in the driver's seat looking at me with a stunned expression on her face. I then forgot how to modulate my voice and said, "I'm sorry. My mom just got a new car and bolted." The worst part was, by the time my mom actually arrived, I realized it wasn't even close to the same car. When I'm at work and started getting at my co-worker, I call him by my ex's name. When the priest says, "May the Lord light up your life," and you reply, "And up yours." Calling your boss dad mom. Hello MR Johnson. This is Richard calling from Ziz Incorporated. How are you today? Well, not so great. I'm driving to my wife's funeral right now. Oh. I'm so sorry. Well hey, I just wanted to follow up real quick to make sure you received that email I sent you the other day. I said sorry when I walked myself into a door. I bought a Stranger Things poster for my girlfriend but she didn't watch it yet. I thought she did because my boss at the time did, also female, and we talked about it all the time. Girlfriend was confused, not upset thankfully, and it took me days to figure out why I thought my girlfriend watched it. Putting kisses, XXX, at the end of a text to your boss. Calling your boss sugar bitch and slapping her ass. Is this not the normal reaction to seeing your boss every morning? Saying bro or dude to a customer or in a professional conversation. Farting like no one sis watching like you're used to at home. When I was a young screenwriter I got a chance to submit my script to a quite big company. When I didn't hear from them for a few weeks I decided to call one of the producers. Obviously I was quite nervous and then she answered the call by saying "He, my love." I was perplexed and slowly explained who I was. Turns out my number is similar to her boyfriend's. She was a bit embarrassed at first but went on saying how she dreamt of me. Since we had never seen each other before I was again perplexed. Turns out she meant my script and that she felt a bit guilty for not having called me yet. What a roller coaster. Calling your boss daddy. Calling your boss mom. Got chatting to an attractive blonde lady outside of a club. No easy feat for me. Was enjoying a cigarette together hiding from the rain under a table umbrella. Anyway I finished my smoke and went to head back inside and turned toward her and said, "Enjoy your dryness." I once tried to hold my sister's hand as I was driving because it's what I do with my wife all the time. People saying hi and you replying good thanks. My cousin is an attorney. At Christmas dinner a few years ago, he started the blessing with "Your Honor." My ex-husband has called me babe before out of habit. In his defense, he calls his current GF babe, so he just says it a lot, and so he probably calls all women babe sometimes, haha. Calling your wife mom gets weird. When you work as a detective and call your captain dad repeatedly. 99. I accidentally called my husband the cutesy nickname I call our dog. In the same cutesy voice. We both just pretended it didn't happen. Sending the wrong text to the wrong person. In my case, I sent my boyfriend something along the lines of, I'm sorry, but if you want to stay partners with me, you have to do your portion of the work. It was supposed to go to this incredibly lazy guy I got paired up with to do a presentation. I used to work in a call center and would always answer calls with, "Good evening, this is my name from company name. How can I help you today?" I accidentally answered a few calls from my mum and friends with that line. Would usually only make it halfway to 3/4 of the way through before I realized what I'd done. I was on the receiving end. Me. My grandpa died in September. Girl I'm talking to. On autopilot. Oh cool. Accidentally called random nurse mom because my mom is a nurse and woman looked very familiar to my mom. Saying night night to your co-workers as you leave. I call my husband babe. My brother's name is Dave. Apparently my dumb brain thinks that rhyming words are the same, so I've interchanged the two with horrifying and embarrassing frequency. Called more than one of my female asms babe, hun, and girl more than once by accident. Then, semicolon. 2 didn't mind at all and 1 is now surprised if I refer to her by name instead of honey. They all do the same back. Save for 1, who calls me sir purely because I'm older than her. Whatever. Well, I called my mom baby recently while I was at her house with my girlfriend. I was leaving an interview that had gone well and the hiring manager gestured toward the door with her arm, which my brain read as that open arm gesture inviting a hug, and instinctively went in for one. I didn't get that job. I called my former boss mom. We used to get into some pretty heated discussions at work, and during one particularly frustrating meeting, I said but moom. Full stop. My car, manual transmission, was in the shop, so I had a loaner, automatic transmission. I was giving a co-worker a lift, and out of habit went to shift gears and ended up with my hand on his knee. The loaner car was this tiny ass Kia Rio. Calling Captain Holt dad. Gave the waiter 20A and said keep the change. Bill was 35A. I was a teacher's assistant and on the phone with another teacher, and before we ended the conversation he instinctively said I love you. Bye. The next time I saw him he was mortified, but I just laughed about it and said love you too. Was shopping in a big supermarket with my husband. Went for a quickie, and when I returned I saw he'd put stuff we didn't usually buy in the trolley, so demanded to know why he was putting all this in. Of course it wasn't him, but some other bloke who looked terrified by a stranger telling him off. Why you too? I hate the stutter because it gives me enough time to halfway realize what I'm about to do. But I'm already committed and it's too late. Accidentally referring to your workplace as home. Doing retail made me super friendly. My first job was GameStop, and they really hammered in that I need to talk to every customer that walks in the door. My ceramics teacher was doing an extra work session at night, so I went after work. Everyone trickled in about 20 minutes apart and I said hi. In that retail way every time someone sat at my table. I was like WTF, stop to myself, haha. Everyone was visibly weirded out. Also, I almost always try to put the cereal in the fridge, the milk in the pantry, the bowl in the trash when I'm done with it. When my guy starts to get a little mansplainy, I will sometimes respond with, yes, baby. Love you, baby. Thank you for telling me that, comma, in a monotone and clearly placating tone. I accidentally did that to a supervisor. We both stopped and realized what was happening with shocked looks in our faces. I stammered. "Oh, sorry. Habit." He stammered back. "You sounded just like my wife when she's annoyed at me." It was the longest few seconds of staring at each other, not knowing what to say. I work as a cook. I was at a bar after work, and there was a fight 5 minutes before I got there. Officers went around asking for statements. "Officer, did you witness the fight? 11 hours shift and half a beer me. No, chef." I got rather drunk at my good female friend's house and accidentally called her babe while we were cooking. I'm a girl and I'm dating a boy. No idea why I did that. Edit. Please stop telling me it's totally normal and that everyone calls their friends babe. If I called all my friends babe, I wouldn't have posted this or thought it was awkward. Not everyone talks like that or is a girly girl. Is she a babe? That might be why. When your friends are babes, let them know. Once called my GF Tony Stark.